Starting the broadcast. Oh.
Oh.
We are woefully unprepared. But maybe. Hello.
Hello. We're live. Oops.
Look. We're live on the Twitter. Look. It's us. This is very exciting.
Lost the question.
I texted you the questions.
No, I see him.
Oh, I see.
I lost him.
See, it just doesn't like it.
We have some friends. Only 2 of them so far. We're waiting for a few more friends, I think. But hello, friends.
Hello to what I've learned this week. GetVokl.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I apologize to everyone who works at GetVokl for repeatedly calling it GetVokl.
It's just a little bit German. You couldn't
It
help
looks
it.
German.
Yeah, it does.
It looks German, and I can't help it.
Yeah,
it's not my fault.
I just trusted you. So
I don't know why you trusted me. You shouldn't have.
I shouldn't.
No. But yes, apparently, GetVokl. It's a lolcat's misspelling of the word vocal rather than a funny, this sounds a little bit rude kind of a pun, which is what I thought it was.
Fair.
I didn't know.
Good.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today we're doing 30 questions about Shadowhunters. We did a sort of version of this once before. It'll be interesting to see how much our answers have changed from the last time we did it.
Once upon a cancellation time.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. So almost exactly 2 years ago. And I haven't rewatched Shadowhunters in quite a long time. So it'll also be interesting to see how much
you remember.
I remember.
I'm going to quiz you on runes and you're going to cry.
I'm going to cry.
Life on air.
I've never been able to do the runes. Yeah, no, time is really weird. I can't, yeah.
I'm really glad, Julie, that you wrote something because we are using the microphones today, and I did just think, oh, maybe they can't actually hear us.
Maybe
I thought that was slightly worrying.
Yeah. So far, it's just you, Julie. We just have a chat. How are you?
How are you? I actually want to know how you are. If you want, you can come on the podcast and snack on life on air.
If you want to. We won't stop you.
We won't stop your snacking.
Mm-hmm. Do you like my mug?
I planned. Our mugs are appropriate.
Hers are quite badass. Mine's just cute.
Yours is adorable.
He's my favourite. I'm not sure how he thinks he's going to help catching the coffee drips in his quiver, but I
also really don't think. I mean, at least I guess the fletchings.
Yep.
The fletchings go up.
Yeah.
So you're not dunking them in coffee.
Yeah.
But it still seems. Yeah. He tries. He tries his best, which is all you can really ask from Alec.
Oh, some more friends. Hello, more friends.
Shall we just get started? Otherwise, we're just counting friends.
Social media, isn't it?
That's true. Hello, hi, Bobby. Do you want to kick us off on our 30 questions about Shadowhunters?
The first one's a controversial one. What is your favourite season of Shadowhunters?
Oh, wow. To be
To be.
or not to be. I feel like in theory, before it aired, it would have been 3B. Just if we want to start off controversial.
Yeah.
I think with everything that we were promised and all of the planning, it would have been 3B, but then it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's the only possible reaction to 3B, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
In theory, awesome. Practically, eh. What's your favorite season of Shadowhunters?
Season 2. Because, technically my favourite season of Shadowhunters is season 2. Whether it's A or B, that one I go back and forth on.
Okay.
I think 2A is a neater season. Like, I think it starts in a place and finishes in a place and does sort of what it aims to achieve with that thing. 2B has some of my favourite episodes in it. So I go back and forth on it.
3B's got some of my favourite ideas in it. What's your least favourite season?
3B.
There's really no other answer on that now, is there? There's like, yeah, 3B.
No question.
So much promise, so much.
I've never been
so little delivery.
I've never been so angry with a season of television in my entire life.
Not helped that, you knew it was going to be the last one ever, and therefore any mistakes they made, they couldn't come back from.
No pressure.
And yeah. Favorite episode of Shadowhunters ever. Ever.
Then they made all the mistakes at once. Yes, they did. It was sort of miraculous. It was like,
I guess there's some, credit for that.
Almost impressive how hard they failed in so many different directions all at the same time. What's my favorite episode of Shadowhunters?
Ever. Talk amongst yourself. Or feel free to answer the question.
Indeed. That's Howard.
Oh, here you are. I was wondering when he was going to join the GetVokl. And now I just want to say it over and over because then I know how to say it. Well, Julie, you're not used if you can't answer the question either. Would it help if I got you up a list?
Sure, get me up a list.
Okay. Come on, internet, do your magic. I was going to give you season 2. I like the date. I like Iron Sisters.
206.
Iron Sisters is fun.
Dust and Shadows is a really good episode.
What ended up at the top of our
We haven't finished yet.
shadow list? Oh, because we're doing it on the commentaries. Oh, man.
Today I'm going for those of Demon Blood.
What happens in that episode?
The Inquisitor wants to put tracking chips on all the downworld.
Oh, that's a good one.
Maya's in it. She's the awesomest. It's a pretty good episode.
Julie was going to go for that one too.
I think they nailed what they were trying to do in that episode.
Yeah.
I think they set out to do a thing and they nailed it. And that's good.
I'm assuming the follow-up of this is... Yes, it is. Least favorite episode.
Dead Man's Party. Season 1, episode 3.
That is bad.
It's a really bad episode.
Yeah.
Ironically,
All particulars. Also named after a really bad Buffy episode.
It's also a bad Buffy episode, yeah.
It's
also a bad chapter in the first Mortal Instruments book. It's just anything titled Dead Man's Party should be avoided at all costs. That's my learning.
This is very awkward. I just realized that I have to drink from my mug by the handle. Because this way you just see a fireball.
That's okay.
It's not a very good way to drink tea. I think, there's a weird answer to least favorite episode ever. Is it 313? 312? Whichever one, no, it must be 13. Whichever one has the Malik fight scene in it.
Oh.
Just because,
Yeah.
like the training fight scene, just because it just
312
did not do what I wanted it to do.
Yeah. Because it's so jarring. Yeah, no,
yeah,
exactly.
it just, you did everything wrong.
Yeah, I also have a huge amount of residual hatred for, I think it's 309. That's bringing Valentine back from the dead.
Oh, right, because,
the infuriating audacity of it just bothers me on so many levels. Especially in contrast to how well 311 looked like it was setting things up for the rest of the season. Yes, absolutely. 311 was really, really solid. That was a really solid episode. They do so much better with season openers than season closers.
But literally, 311 did for 312 what the whole premise of everything of 3B did for 3B.
Yep. We were lulled into a false sense of security.
You build it up and then no. Yeah. Now, for anyone who's watching us on Twitter, if you come over to GetVokl, you can join the chat. I don't know if people are watching us on Twitter.
You could be on Twitter, couldn't you? Because then people
I could be on Twitter if you ask the next question.
At us on Twitter.
Yes.
Favourite female character?
Oh, sorry, this is really weird because I'm now watching us actually move on Twitter.
We don't watch us actually move, but just keep Twitter open and then if people talk to us, you can talk to them back.
Favourite female character?
Yeah.
Maya. She's awesome. Maris. She's also awesome. Oh, Maris is so good.
Maris is really, really good.
Who's
I'm saying Maris. I think Maya is awesome, but I have seen other characters like Maya on television before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
I think quite a lot of shows, not nearly as many as should
be,
but quite a lot of shows have a Maya type character. I have not seen an arc like Maris's on television anywhere else.
Yeah.
Not for a woman, not for a mature woman particularly.
Yeah.
Just in so many directions. I think they did something that was really innovative with Maris. Really, like, it shouldn't be as like striking as it is.
Yeah,
but
no, totally.
I think it was.
Or Clary when she's stabbing things. We do like Clary stabbing things. Shadowhunters as a whole did do a surprisingly good job with modders in general, yeah. Well, and again, that was a kind of 3B conversation that we thought we were going to have.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have a lot of it in season 2, and I do think they nailed a lot of that conversation.
I still regret a little that they didn't land it with the end of, I guess that was the end of season 2, wasn't it? Lilith and the apartment and the explosion. That was the end of season 2. One of my regrets is that they were doing such a nice job with the mother's storyline, and I feel like they kind of stumbled at the last hurdle with it. And you could have resolved that in moments.
One episode,
you know, it's kind of like you only needed a couple of lines or a couple of scenes to really land it. And they didn't quite, which is a shame. But
mostly
it was a really, really good, really coherent conversation with lots of good performances from lots and lots of really impressive actors. So that's all good.
Can I guess the next question? Is it least favourite female character?
It is least favourite female character, yes.
Nailed it.
Yes. That's a bit of a tough one.
I feel there's a lot of answers, like fandom answers, that people would give that I don't agree with. Like, people hate Lydia. I think Lydia's the best.
Lilith, because I still don't know what a greater demon is.
Fair.
Yes. I generally dislike that question in these lists. Yes, we do too. Generally.
That's why we're rubbish at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, after we've asked the other one, if you asked the first one, I guess.
Yeah, have
No,
to.
we don't. We could just, be the difference you want to see in the world.
We have to if you want to ask 30 questions.
Yeah.
We haven't got any other questions.
Them's the rules.
And the things titled 30 questions.
Yes.
We're both anal retentive enough to need to answer 30 questions if we've put 30 questions in the title.
I feel like, unfortunately, this is not working. I don't think people can see my dress.
We put runes on, and she put a dress on.
I did put a dress on.
Also, I'm wearing
runes.
I'm wearing my merch.
This is going to go so well. I'm wearing the dress that I last wore when Daria touched it and before the world ended.
Beautiful.
And I think maybe wearing the dress is going to mean the world stops ending.
You tried a lot harder than I did, to be honest.
I got really excited.
Okay.
I don't leave the house anymore.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, I have to, as far as my least favourite character is concerned, because I never answer villains for that kind of a question.
Oh, yeah.
Because unless you have a reason like Jilly's, that Lilith is a frustrating character for reasons separate from her villainy. Disliking a character is different from disliking a human. Here's somebody that I would much rather have in my house for tea / here is. So I think, unfortunately, I have to answer Izzy as far as my least favourite female character from the Shadowhunters core cast.
Because of all the disappointment.
She was largely very disappointing. I liked the potential of her enormously. I liked Emerald Tubir more than I thought I would in the early stages. She had an incredibly warm, charming presence on screen. She had really beautiful chemistry with most of her co-stars. But Isabel was more frustrating than she was anything else for the body of the series, the exception of 3B. Only good thing about 3B.
That is true.
Yeah.
She won 3B.
She did win 3B.
Who is your favourite male character?
Alec. I could say someone else, but it would be a lie. Who's your favourite male character, Mish?
Hang on.
Fireball.
It's I feel like saying Magnus because you picked Alec, but if we don't have to pick individual answers, then Alec.
I think you should pick the answer that's true.
I know, but sometimes we have to pick the answer that's true and also that you didn't say first. True. But yeah, Alec. Yeah. Who's your least favourite male character? All the tree. It's so much easier than female character.
Well, yeah.
All the tree was the worst.
He was the worst.
And then he tried to be the worst, and he failed at that too. He was the worst at that too.
You're right, G. It's just that he did not make sense. His motivation was all over the place. Didn't make sense.
And we've tried so many times to come up with a logic.
Yeah, there's not.
And there just isn't.
No.
What?
We did. Yeah. We did try. We were really, really determined that we would find some logic in there somewhere.
And multiple times.
Yeah. I
in the first watch, and then in the roundup, and then in the rewatch, and the commentaries, and it just, no.
I kind of hope, that sort of behind the scenes rumor kind of a thing that he was supposed to be Jonathan in disguise.
Yes.
For a while.
Yeah.
I kind of hope
that would have been
that's
cool.
True. Just because at least then I could kind of get behind a slightly scattershot approach to the writing, just because they had to change the strategy so drastically.
Yeah.
At least that's a rationale for it, rather than this is exactly what they intended to do.
Well, and this was also Amelia. Oh yeah, Julie's literally saying it. Nice. Amelia, our friend Amelia. Amelia, who currently you can hear on our Thinky Thoughts podcast.
Whose beautiful dulcet tones you can hear on our Euro Nice podcast.
She makes me feel really bad about just my voice.
I know, she's got such a lovely
voice.
husky voice. Mm.
It's good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She's not here. She's
listen
not here
to that.
So it's fine.
Probably. But
Sorry if you are, Amelia.
she might be on Twitter. Who knows? But yeah, Amelia came up with this entire theory about all the tree being Sebastian. I think before there was even like the official show rumor.
It's very
And
clever.
yeah, it was awesome. But no. Favorite friendship.
In practice, in what we actually got on the screen,
Okay.
Clary and Simon.
Yep.
In theory, in what I wanted, Alec and Jace.
Yeah. I mean, hell, if we're going in theory, Jason Magnus.
Yes, but that was
Depends
never
on how much theory you're going.
That was never something that actually existed.
It did in my head.
Sure, in your head.
It was beautiful.
But there was like the problem with Jace and Alec is they kept trying to tell you how much of this relationship you were seeing, and then
you didn't. It depends on how theoretical you want to make this. I also really like Maya and Simon.
Yes.
Before 3B.
Yes, me too.
Yep.
I do also have to kind of acknowledge that like half of my fondness for Alec and Jace's friendship is largely fic inspired. Is also that Matt and Dom had incredible chemistry.
Oh yeah, like if we want to go
astonishing chemistry.
If we want to go real people, then absolutely Matt and Dom.
But like
but also Dom and Alberto.
But not in terms of, you know, they're actors, they do whatever they want in their private life, they don't know my business. But like the chemistry that they brought to their scenes. Their scenes were electric. There just were not sufficient numbers of them so that I could actually pick them as my favorite friendship from like the scenes that we got written for them.
The actual thing on the screen.
Also,
like
I really like the
parasite
concept. That's something that I find really interesting, really exciting, but they never quite nailed that either. So, fun revisit of frustrations.
That is what this is all about, right? Yeah. Hi. What's your favorite friendship?
Mine and yours.
It's just him and the Rune.
Loves the Rune.
Goodbye. What's next?
Favorite romance.
Malik.
Okay, without that.
I'm really, really sad that we didn't get a proper Jason Maya
moment.
Well, I mean, it's just like what we got was just so delightfully casual. And that was so nice. And I really like what they did with it afterwards as well. You know, when Simon finds out and Maya's just like, yeah, before we were dating, so whatever, I'm not apologizing. And it was just so nice.
Yeah. No, I agree. I liked it too.
What's yours?
Howard's very, very talkative.
It's because you're not paying attention to him.
It was surprising, Maya and Jace.
But it's rare in a show that telegraphs what it's doing the way most genre shows do. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it sort of came out of nowhere and it made perfect sense. Like I thought that like the moment's like, go for it. That sounds like it'd be a good time for everybody involved. But not something that you saw coming by any stretch of the imagination. I shipped Luke and Maris really hard.
And their little bookshop.
From like the moment they had a scene together, it was like, oh, that's a possibility. Yes, I want that. That, please. Put that on my television screen.
In a bookshop.
They're both so pretty.
They are both so pretty. What's next?
Least favorite romance.
Do you have opinions about this? Are you going to be in any way useful? Are you just you're not even on screen? Get. Like now you're just disruptive and not cute on television. Oh, there we go. There's a bum. What was the question?
What's your least favorite romance?
My least favorite romance. I don't know. It's like Isabel and Raphael, I think they just didn't quite nail it, but I liked the idea of it. I liked the notion of it, the theory, and what you could have done with it. I don't dislike it for its pure existence.
No,
It
was just problematic.
Yeah, and like
the
it wasn't dealt with
execution.
properly. But in theory, it could have been good. I hated what they did with Maya and Simon in 3B, but up to that point, I really liked their relationship.
Yeah. All of these relationships, to be quite honest, never quite served anywhere a purpose. No, they didn't.
No. Oh, yeah, there we go. Izzy and that doctor. That's my least favorite romance. What about you? You're blocking Howard's moment of fame. Get out the screen.
Luke and Jocelyn. What was the point of that?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like, it just seemed to, kind of in retrospect, it seemed like the only reason we set that up was so that Luke could be Clary's like proper stepdad.
Yeah.
Because love their relationship. But like,
sorry, in my head I thought you said Luke and Maris, and I was like, it can't be your favorite and least favorite. Like that's what? But yeah, okay, Jocelyn. Yeah.
Also, in hindsight, Simon and Clary's relationship was a really bad idea.
I mean, mostly I think it's the timeline, isn't it? And we don't talk about the timeline, but sometimes we talk about the timeline. Because I quite liked Clary and Simon, but
Alberto and Kat had really beautiful chemistry.
But when you look at, what Simon does in 3.5 days, it's insane.
No, totally. I mean, this is also the thing, is like, I think fundamentally Alberto had the ability to sell me on whatever the hell he wanted to. So when he was supposed to be madly in love with Clary, then I believed it. When he was with Maya, then I believed that too. And then when he was with Izzy in the end, I don't know why I thought I was going to have so much trouble with it, to be honest. Because it's like, well, Alberto's involved, therefore the minute he says this is happening, I'm going to get on board, because that's... And
Emerald has amazing chemistry with anyone that she shares the screen with. So yeah, it was always going to work.
Yeah, that's the power of Alberto. An astonishingly talented young man. I hope that he's enjoying being in Chicago Fire. I have to say, I have not watched a single second of it, because it doesn't sound particularly interesting.
I've watched quite a lot of his behind-the-scenes stunt videos, because they're quite fun.
Cool.
Of just like... Also, Alberto climbs up the outside of a lot of fire escapes and balconies, so it's just him doing the buff thing while being buff, and that's quite good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've not watched the show. I do not know. What's your favorite rune?
Arabatai.
Sorry, I'm just watching Howard wash himself. So you want to look good on the deli.
What's your favorite rune?
Well, it depends a little bit. Like, for actual practical application, if there was one rune that could be real, Iradzi.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like,
for my actual life.
That's an Iradzi.
Yes, I see.
So that's an Iradzi. For just like how it looks, I think Iradzi is probably one of the ugliest runes there is. And it has to be courage in combat.
Nice.
Which is awesome.
That one's real.
That one's real.
These ones are all fake.
Ruth tried to put a fake courage in combat on me earlier, and I pointed out that was silly.
That was silly.
But it's a little dragon.
I'm foolish. Yes.
It's a little dragon.
Aesthetically, the deflect rune because I am shallow and lightwoods are pretty. Fair. As good an answer as any, I think.
Lightwoods are pretty.
Yes.
If we've learned nothing other than lightwoods are pretty from Shadowhunters, I feel that is a valid lesson to have learned. And for a show to have spent 3 years just reinforcing, really making sure.
Just for a minute there.
Well, in case we had doubt, it's just like no, hang on, let's try this. Let's try this shot. Does this one work for you? This shot, okay. We're gonna put Izzy in like the leather trouser. We're gonna make her put her leg on the chair. I like that.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, you people are so hard to please. Man, take your shirt off.
Just towel your hair a little bit. No. I think the scene, it's narratively, it's really important. This scene is in your boxer briefs. It's really important for the narrative. You know it's true. What's your favorite fight scene or your favorite stunt?
My favorite.
Yes, sorry, the thigh holsters.
Thigh holsters were good. Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't even mention the thigh holsters.
You had a bit of a moment with Izzy in that thigh holster.
Yeah, it was on the chair. I didn't mention that. I just didn't even mention the thigh holster. They were good.
Yeah.
Sorry, fight scene.
I think the one that sticks in memory most is Jace and Alex from 109. Their big bust up at the end of season 1.
Oh, the bad fight.
Oh
man.
I mean, not the prettiest choreographed, maybe, but I think as far as storytelling is concerned, it was beautifully done.
And they still did the super speed thing, which is
irritating. But I think as far as using an action sequence as a narrative device, and yeah, absolutely the contrast between that one and the sparring scene in 211, first episode of 2B.
If Clary can make new runes, then you must be able to do something special.
Yes, you must.
But just about 18 registers lower than this.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just like I'm not a particularly big action scene person, so the most important thing to me is that they tell story. And I think that scene in 109 told story better than any other fight sequence that we have.
Which I think, is absolutely fair. It's in my head like fight sequence. I don't actually think of any of the real fight sequences. I do absolutely think of all of the sparring, and I have a ridiculous fondness and guilty pleasure for all of the Jace backflips. I like them.
I know you do.
I like it when he and Clary spar and they flip for no reason whatsoever. But totally the 211 sparring with the little snail that Mafia finds on the ground.
You got a favourite stunt?
I quite like the... was it Alberta or was it Dom who learned how to jump into the cardboard boxes to get into the fairy realm and then wasn't allowed to do it? Because they both jump off that bridge.
I think it was Alberto.
See, it's really weird because in my head it's Alberta, but it doesn't make any sense. So and yeah, it's really weird. I feel like it was Dom, but like intellectually, I feel like it was Dom, but my heart says Alberto, and it's very bizarre.
They both did it. They both jumped off the bridge into the Celia realm, so it could have been either of them.
But I always really...
No, it must have been Dom because he did it first.
Yes.
Right? The Alberto scene.
They would have already known with Alberto that they're not allowed.
Right.
So they wouldn't have made him train. I do also really quite like the season opener, the jumping off the bridge in front of Pandemonium.
Yeah. With the completely unnecessary
twizzle
in midair. It's like you landed backwards. You did that. So you land backwards. Why? Why did you do that?
Yeah. Because it looks better. Well,
Jilly's just
Simpatico.
There's a mind meld thing going on.
The pilot jump is just so good. It's so silly and it's so good.
I thought Jace being hung.
Oh, by Will Tudor.
That was really effective.
Yeah. Also, just like that, again, that's a good fight. The fight on the bridge is a good fight. And all of the dragging in the chains, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But as far as like an isolated stunt is concerned, I think Jace being hung was like impressive. It looked good. They did the work and achieved the thing.
They did fun things. What's next?
Best CGI moment, followed obviously by the worst CGI moment. So.
Can I go worst first?
Sure, why not?
Magnus going up the plug hole at the end of 3B.
Yeah, it's not good.
Magnus being flushed upwards into Edom.
It's ridiculous because I was like, I think possibly the worst moments of CGI happen in the same scene.
Okay.
You get Magnus being taken up the plug hole. Not good. Bad moment. And then the blue magic zipping the breast clothes. Beautiful. Narratively incredibly powerful.
Yep.
Looked stunning. Was so like symbolic and So I think maybe
it's like so symbolic, but also did such a beautiful job at storytelling.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. It's like it was visual storytelling. Like,
gorgeous.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe the best and worst CGI moments happened in the same scene.
Well, you know, folks, VFX had an awful lot of work to do.
Busy day for them.
I mean, as far as CGI goes, I've always been quite a big fan of the Ravager demons.
The one, yeah.
I think they were pretty impressive, especially once you put it on Dom's face. I think they did really quite impressive stuff with that. Like, it looked real.
Yeah. I thought the dragons looked really good. The Edamai looked really good. I thought Edam looked kind of naff.
Edam, yeah. I mean, Edam, you could just so tell that they had a, 10 by 10 square of sand, and then they glued the rest of it on.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm trying to do too many things at the same time. Who was your favorite villain? Again, I think let's do on screen and also like in potential.
In actuality, Valentine was my favorite villain.
Okay.
I think he had the tidiest arc. I think it was the neatest. I think I understood his motivations the best. I think there was a very clear antagonism there. He was really involved in all of the plot. The plot was actually about stopping him doing what he wanted and him trying to stop them doing what they wanted. Classic protagonist, antagonist kind of a vibe. Alan Van Sprang was
awesome.
Great. And yes, indeed, Gilly, his story is very, very human in the same way Alex is. They are, it was really solid. It was really neat. I think, some of the episodes that got us there were maybe a little bit shaky, but I think as far as here is a villain for this story, then there he was. I think in theory, Will Tudor was blindingly brilliant.
Yeah, I think I have to pick Sebastian just because
brilliant.
Will Tudor is so good.
He's so good. And good. I wish they had worked out ever what Jonathan Sebastian really wanted to justify Will Tudor putting as much like intensity and depth and nuance into his performance, because I kind of feel like
I'm 5.5.
Like he was a bit wasted on them, to be honest.
I feel like I'm 5.5 books into the book series and I still don't know what Sebastian wants.
Yeah, no.
So Will Tudor stood no chance.
Yeah.
What is an episode that you like that everyone else hates?
I don't know.
I don't even know whether there are, because with most shows you do have those really classic, like everyone hates these, 6 episodes kind of thing. I don't know whether there are.
I think it's like the thing about Shadowhunters is because it was not episodic storytelling, because it was like overarching plot storytelling. I think the things that people disliked were more isolated story elements rather than this episode. So the episodes that were less popular tended to be the episodes that concentrated more of the elements that people didn't like or had particularly noteworthy individual moments or scenes that people didn't like. So for instance, 207 has a really, really bad rap because of Malik's first time scene, which actually has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the episode, which is perfectly workmanlike as far as I'm concerned.
And Dead Man's Party is a bad episode, but it's not like everyone else loves it. So,
so I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
How about the other way around? What's an episode you hate that everyone else loves?
I feel like 210 is really, really popular.
Because of the I Love You.
Because of the I Love You, and that bit's lovely. 210's got some really good bits in it, but I have always been less than impressed with the episode overall. I think I was less impressed than you with the episode overall.
You were definitely absolutely less impressed than me.
So I guess 210 would be my answer for that one. Do you have a... I didn't like the Pink Panther bit in 3-2 that everyone else liked. I thought the tone didn't match very well. No, I liked it fine in isolation. It was, funny and cute. You know what I think of that bit of the episode. You listen to like
Many hours.
Many hours of me talking about it. But yeah, no, it didn't tonally match. And the whole episode was a mess, to be honest. Because of that, because there were so many tonal switches in the episode. It was all like...
I think mine has to be 312 again.
Yeah.
So like everyone is mad about the Malik training scene, and I am still just like, I despair every single time I see people talk about it.
But again, it's those things that are like isolated scenes or moments or story elements rather than whole episodes. Like, I have no real idea of what else happened in
I mean, to be fair,
312.
like the thing, like the rest, like mostly the other big thing of that episode is obviously Simon going to find Kane.
Oh, is that episode?
Yeah. Well, because it cuts from Kane saying, "You will die," to Magnus having just got off.
I think
yes.
What is it? Problem of memory? 315? 215.
Yes, definitely not 3.
The one that has a really, really beautiful Malik arc, but I kind of think the rest of the episode...
Oh, because of the Simon Bleeder's Den thing.
Utter shite.
Yeah.
So...
I think, honestly, that's going to be the case. This is why I think this is easier, because a lot of people are going to love episodes because of the Malik.
Right.
And completely blank what the rest of the episode is doing, which often then doesn't work.
It's the thing that we found so weird going through our commentary to put things on the
shadow list. Yeah.
Is that like we're sitting there sort of going, okay, but actually this episode's not very good. So, you know, you feel a little bit like, I can't really stick it at the top of the list of episodes because this 3-minute scene was really lovely.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's a little bit weird on that front. I'm still trying to think if there's anything that I really liked that I feel like, generally speaking, wasn't well thought of. I mean, I think there's things like...
I mean, there's obviously a lot of Clay stuff and Jay stuff that fandom hates.
I mean, I guess, like, I really liked the Clay's finale.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they were the best part of the finale.
I think that's, totally.
I feel like that wasn't
that's a good one.
Particularly popular opinion. Likewise, I mean, there's quite a lot of
Well, and that's quite doubly so, because that's unpopular from people who hate Clays, but it's also unpopular with people who wanted Clays to be the OTP to end all OTP. So I think that is hated by a lot of people.
It's also a little bit difficult because I feel like in my Shadowhunters fandom, I busily surrounded myself with like people who mostly thought
agreed with you
to me about the show. Not agreed with me, but like had a similar like vibe. So I feel like most of the people I spoke to immediately, they also quite liked the close finale. But I'm aware that in the fandom, generally, it wasn't particularly well thought of. Likewise, I liked the Jace Magnus shovel talk scene.
Yes,
I thought that was fun and
I liked it.
And lots of people didn't.
Up in arms about it.
Yeah.
Also, like, the thing that I find quite confusing, having now got to 5.5 books, is that it's not like Clays get that much further in the books than they do on the show. So I'm not quite sure what the Clays fans were quite so angry about.
I think it's the centralization, though, isn't it? Is that in the books are unequivocally Jason Clary are the protagonists. Whereas the show made it an ensemble cast. So like but
that's not an isolated anger over how they were left. Because, there's not, there's Clays deserves better, which absolutely they did. But there's also separate to that, just the anger over their ending.
I mean, but their ending is very, very different from the ending in the book. I mean,
I don't know.
If you haven't read that bit yet, you will find out. But, like, the ending is very, very different.
Now I know that they have sex in a pond. That's all I know. What's next?
My phone's gone to sleep. Hang on.
Character you relate to the most? Feel free to answer that too, Howard.
I don't know.
Yes, Jilly, you can be Lindsay the Shadowhunter standing awkwardly in the background.
I mean, I think in
we all
actuality,
are.
we're all Lindsay the Shadowhunter wearing the glasses, standing awkwardly in the background.
And then every now and again, completely changing our tune.
I feel like taking Alex minutes in his staff meetings is about the level of shadow hunting that I could achieve.
Oh, you'd be shit hot at that.
I'd take awesome minutes.
Yep. Actually, I don't. I get really obsessive, and I write that. Basically, what I do
action points only.
Yeah, no, whereas I'm doing a transcript.
Transcripts like no. Action points only.
Yeah, no.
Action points only.
So you should do that. Yeah. Maybe I'm awesome at like weapon maintenance.
Are you?
I'm really good at polishing silver.
Okay.
I'm not very good at sharpening, but I could learn.
You could be like Isabel's lab assistant or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or her jewelry assistant.
Cool.
I could do either. I could do the Lightwood jewelry business. I could do the marketing.
I think you'd make better jewelry than Isabel would.
And better marketing.
I think you'd be less good at metal work than
Isabel.
No,
that's
I think
fair.
You'd make better jewelry. I think you're more artistically inclined than Isabel is.
I like to think so.
I'm still stuck on answering this question seriously.
For me, it's Jace.
I know for you it's Jace, and yeah, for you it's Jace.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know it's true.
Yeah, I do.
Everything is his fault, and that's how I feel too.
I've always felt like a kind of like cross between Alec and Simon.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm quite caught between, because I'm not an optimist. I'm very, very much
you're very pragmatic,
a pragmatic realist. But I'm not nearly as I'm quite emotionally brave, but I'm not like that Alec thing of just putting it all out there is just on another level. So I feel like Simon's kind of approach to human relationships is something that I've really really resonates with me.
You could be their love child. I would be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're both like massive Hufflepuffs, and I'm a massive Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's. Though Ginny just wrote Alec being the biggest Slytherin in the entire universe. So.
Oh, I see. Like in life, she
In
wrote
life,
rather than just like she didn't write anything.
Yeah, no, he was lovely, but a massive, massive Slytherin.
She does also accept Hufflepuff, Alec. Hi, Howard. What are you? Are you a Hufflepuff? You're just a numpty. That's what you are.
A numpty puff.
A numpty puff. You are a numpty puff.
Mr. Mouse is a Spanaclaw.
Who's a what? A Spanaclaw?
Yep.
No, he can't go up that high because he won't be on the screen. That's why I didn't put it on the hook. Okay. It lives on the radiator.
Okay. Things gone wrong.
Howard was helping.
Yeah, Spanaclaw.
How is she half Ravenclaw? When has she ever researched a single thing?
So it's also how many like British like synonyms for the same thing? Can I
Getting put in front of half Hogwarts houses.
Blankendorf?
Griffin twat.
Oh, that's rude. See, yeah.
I don't know what the curse levels are on
I
this.
don't know. It's too low. It's too low.
I said it.
Yeah,
I meant it. Character who didn't get enough screen time. Jalek.
Maya. Yeah. I think it varies a little season to season.
I see you responding to Jilly. It was like, I said Jalek. It was like Maya. Yes, good point.
Jilly said Maya.
That's absolutely
a conversation,
true.
You know. What we're supposed to be doing on this interactive platform. I think it varied season to season. I think season 2A, Maya got a really good, solid amount of screen time, and
also I felt like, Izzy, for example, got a fair amount of screen time. She just didn't get any character development and any arc.
Yep.
So I don't quite like screen time is quite unhelpful, I guess, to a degree.
Because I feel like towards the end, season 3, I'd have said that Jace was probably the person
Jace was gone.
who I regretted the lack of
Yeah.
most. And obviously there was the whole owl thing, and that made it a little bit like weird screen time. But I feel like he was the least invested in.
Yep.
Irregardless of how well some other characters may have been invested in, but there was at least an attempt to invest. Like for Magnus, particularly, 3B did it all wrong, but there was an attempt at investing in him. It wasn't,
yes.
The problem wasn't a lack of scenes.
And again, yeah, absolutely, screen time, pure minutes. He had loads,
and they weren't scenes that lacked like an attempt at kind of drilling down into his problems and his issues. It was the motivation was.
The scenes they tried,
right?
They
were at least wading into the depths of his storyline. Whereas I feel like for Jace, this just started skimming him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it varies hugely season to season.
Yeah.
So a bit of a non-answer, but.
Character you like that everyone else hates. I like Lydia. Not everyone else hates her, but quite a lot of people hate her. I don't think she deserves it.
I like Lydia, and a lot of people hate her. I feel like a lot of people also love her. I think for a slightly more off-the-wall answer, whilst I despised what they did with Maya via the storyline, I thought Jordan was a really interesting character.
Yeah.
I thought Chai was brilliant.
Chai's wonderful.
And I think if they had not been so fixated on having him do a romance storyline with Maya, thereby diabolically ruining both of them, they could have done something really interesting with him.
Also, as I now know, also goes nowhere in the books.
No, it doesn't.
So it's like you literally recreated the book thing, but the book thing was rubbish.
Well, they also didn't recreate the book thing. They went off on their own path.
But you still did the same thing.
We're not going to do the thing that the book did, except you did sort of the same thing in
different.
Yeah.
And equally bad.
I think that the kind of the redemption stuff that they could have done with him, and the idea of the Praetor as a sort of institution that he was committed to, that this was a character with like a really dark origin story. Effectively. I think that I really
all of that could have been good.
But his relationship with Maya was kind of the nail in the proverbial coffin for that.
Dilly also says season 1 Clary.
Oh yeah. Showing that atonement is a long-term thing, you don't see that very often. No, exactly. And a choice that you have to choose to atone, and that you have to make that choice over and over and over again. But it's not as simple as just going, I'm sorry, I did a really bad thing, and I'm awful.
Well, and also that it's a choice, and this is your choice, and it's something that you're doing, and you can't force it on other people. You can't force acceptance on other people. That doesn't mean that you atoning for something you did isn't important, valid, and isn't worth it. And
and also that you have to seek the forgiveness of the people that you have wronged. They do not have to forgive you, but the seeking of the forgiveness is still important.
Absolutely.
And is part of atonement. Right. Even if they forgive you, it doesn't mean that you have a relationship again, because it might not be worth it. No, totally. And the people who you have wronged have the absolute right and prerogative to walk away from you and never speak to you again. But it is still important to be present in making amends, and that you can make amends away from the people that you have hurt by being a better human being and doing better with your life in other places.
Well, and I do feel literally it feels to me like Chai had this very conversation in his own head, and he could feel that. And also having very briefly met him at conventions, it kind of he is the loveliest, but also he is very much the kind of person who would have thought about it in this way.
Just hearing him answer questions about how he approached the character and the things that he chose to do, and you can tell that he thought about it,
and that was his thinking. What's next?
Character you love to hate.
I'd say all the tree, except I just hate him.
No, he's frustrating.
I do not love
I do
to
not
hate
love
him.
to hate him at all.
I mean, I loved Valentine, and he was a villain, and therefore I was supposed to hate
Valentine
him.
was the most uncomplicated. I think he was just straight up villainy, and the representing of the patriarchy and the white supremacy and the evil dad thing. We can all get behind
very easy. It's very easy to hate him.
Evil dad, I hate you.
And he was so good at it.
Yeah. And Alan Vance Brown just sort of reveled in his villainy.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to be Asmodeus, but
it was underdeveloped.
Again, like in theory, Asmodeus, absolutely wonderful in theory. Practically, which is just a shame. Best adaptation choice from the books that I have now read 5.5 parts of.
Aging them up, Julie says.
Yes, absolutely.
Making it an ensemble.
Yep. Yeah, making them older and making them an ensemble cast, I think, are the
big things.
Two huge ones.
Just it made it work in a way that it would not have otherwise.
Yep.
Even the movie
would have made it a different show.
But I don't think it would have worked as a show. Like, I don't think you could have had a Jace and Clary centric.
The aging up would have made a different show.
You could have made
You could have done that.
You could have totally done that with a kind of younger cast, and it would have been very, very like teen drama. But no, you totally
the ensemble cast I think was vital to making it a TV show. Yeah. What's the worst adaptation choice?
Not making it more episodic. Trying to tell big, long, overarching plot only.
I think, honestly, I mean, mine's kind of very grandiose about the entire concept of the show, but to me, like, the worst choice they made is trying to sort of stick to the books, but also making a point of not sticking to the books. I think is where they fell down, is sticking to the sort of general direction, but trying to constantly have curveballs, and therefore, pissing off book fans and not telling their own story.
Yeah. I mean,
they just never quite got that balance.
To kind of be fair to them, I guess, because they had a showrunner swap in the middle, like season 1 is pretty freaking close to the book.
Absolutely.
And if they'd continued with that same team, then I would imagine it would have stayed much more closely aligned to the book plot. Their problem came when season 2 had to deal with all the stuff that season 1 had already set in motion.
Jenny agrees with me.
But didn't want to stick to the book so clearly, so diverted in a way that felt a little bit like weird and awkward. But again, if they'd made it more episodic, if they'd made it a Monster of the Week thing, as Julie said, then it wouldn't have mattered so much.
Yeah.
Because the focus would have been on, here's Team Good, and they're doing this thing, and they're fighting this thing this week, and it would have just been much more easily like duplicatable television. Like, you could have got a formula that mostly worked and done pretty much the same thing with different ingredients over and over again. They could have stuck to the books in the background. You mean that could have worked? Yeah, no, totally. I mean, but you could have kind of, if you'd taken like a point A to point D, whatever the end of the book is, said would have been the obvious choice, but hey, and you'd run it like
or CH. No, HC, no. HF.
Heavenly Fire.
Bad alphabet.
But if you'd taken that as a general like framework for your background plot, and you'd had that running along in the background, like Buffy had the Mare plot running along in the background in season 3.
I just think you would have needed so much more work.
Yeah,
and
you would have.
Overall vision, which is something that the show running team just never had.
But I think that would have been, if you're adapting a book series, you have to think about that before you start.
No, I'm not saying it's hard or shouldn't have been done.
Yeah.
It's just that was the big thing that didn't happen.
Yeah. But most of season 1 should have happened in like the first 3 episodes. Like, we should have got Clary in Institute, working with the Shadowhunters, dealt with the whole
Boom, boom, boom.
thing with the mother, and that like we should
Yeah.
have established where everybody is, who the antagonist is, what our goals are in the first 3-4 episodes of season 1. And instead we took an entire season to do that, and then changed our minds after season 1 anyway because the showrunner changed.
Yeah, no, totally. So the worst adaptation choice is all of it. In conclusion,
Well, I think they're not. It's not particularly good adaptation.
Yeah, it's literally like, yeah, it's a bit where you failed at adapting it.
Yeah. Hi.
He agrees. Who are 2 characters that you wanted to get together that never did?
Maya and Jace, I guess.
Except they kind of did a little bit.
I mean, I suppose that's also in a romantic sense.
I mean, I would say Maya and Jace, but
screen time wise, plot sharing wise, Jace and Magnus.
But I don't actually want them to get together.
I mean, not like romantically, but like get together as in put them in the same like plot space.
Have adventures in pubs.
Or
and
conversations.
battlefields.
Just down with conversations, to be honest.
Yeah. What about romantically? I want to say Maris and Luke just because we didn't get there. But
we did sort of get there.
We did totally get there.
I know,
but just so much more. They could have, I would watch it. I would watch the spin-off where they run a bookshop and they have hijinks.
I don't feel like we lacked romance. I think is ultimately my feeling. Like I feel like we could have done with maybe less romance rather than more.
Well, I think it's we could have had more of this rather than these 5,
right?
Kind of thing, isn't it?
Right. So kind of if you're going by that, then like starting Clary and Simon and Isabel earlier.
Yeah, way earlier.
Would have streamlined everything a little bit, and I would rather if that's what they were going to do ultimately,
rather than have Simon
had it kind of
work his way through.
Especially if they did it the same way they did it in 3B and had it just be so like quiet and low key in the background for a long time. If you had a real slow burn with them, especially in contrast to how like hot out the gate Magnus and Alec were, and how soapy Clary and Jace's relationship were. If you'd had in contrast like Isabel and Simon just quietly
proper slow
bonding, quietly growing closer in the background in sort of where everything else, rather than have him fluctuate between a bazillion people and have her have a random thing with some doctor dude for
what
no
was
reason.
His name? Charlie. I just remembered.
And the Raphael, it's like I completely agree with the people who wanted Isabel to be more like stridently single for more of the show, totally.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of more, if you're adding romance, I'd have said that pulling Simon and Isabel's back a bit and trying to slow burn that through maybe a full season 3 rather than just the sort of back half of 3B would have been
nice.
Yeah.
On that note, what is your favorite Sizzy moment? What is your favorite Sizzy moment?
Stop cat torturing.
I can't tell what a camera is.
The pinky swear's pretty freaking cute.
Oh, the pinky swear's so good.
The pinky swear was pretty freaking cute. I can't remember. I've literally only seen through 3B the twice that we watched it when we were recording. I haven't rewatched it since. So I can't remember.
I really like their first meeting.
Yeah.
I just think, and this is down to Emma Tabia and Alberta Resende having chemistry, like with anyone they're on screen. But I think they're lovely that first moment.
Right at the beginning of season 1.
Yeah.
I think there's that moment where she's doing her blacksmithing bit, and he just looks like she's the hottest thing in creation. And
It's pretty good.
I was like,
Yeah.
Simon, you have impeccable taste, my friend.
Good on you.
Good on you.
Fair
No,
enough.
he's not wrong. He's absolutely right. But I liked that he appreciated it. I liked that he appreciated how just extraordinarily badass she is.
It's true.
Yeah. Obvious follow on. Favorite Malik moment.
I'm sorry, it has to be Magnus throwing Alec onto the gold satin sheets. It just can't not be.
Yeah.
He's 7'8", tall warrior human, butch as anything. It's glorious.
Julie says balcony after Jocelyn. Fire escape.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good balcony. Also, the whole apology scene with Jocelyn Taichi on a balcony.
Oh, with the lamp.
With the lamp and the casual duck and the grab.
The brave little toaster.
Yep. Turning back for the kiss.
That's 206 for anybody who doesn't remember what the brave little toaster moment is. Yeah. Alec choosing him specifically again because he hadn't before. Yes.
I mean, we discussed this at length. You can listen to 3.5 hours. Alec Lightwood.
Oh, about Alec, yeah. 3.5 hours. It was like a measly 2 hours and 50 minutes of us talking about Magnus. It's like dropping the proverbial ocean of podcasting minutes.
Yep.
I think we've taken more than our fair share of podcasting minutes.
We have all of them. They're all hours.
All hours.
Wahaha. Favorite Clace moment?
The finale.
The finale is awesome.
Yeah.
I get the frustration in theory that some people have, but I think it's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful. I think they're both so beautiful.
They're so good.
I think they are both like up there with the best that they ever were in that final scene.
No, I think they're both just stunning.
I feel it so much.
Yeah.
And whilst I feel in other like Clace moments, I feel for them both as individuals. I feel for like I'm there with Jace, I'm there with Clary. You know, I feel their individual like plights and completely understand that they care about each other and therefore there's a kind of mutual plight. But it's all about them as individuals. But I think in that final moment, I just feel so much for them as a couple. Yeah. I feel so much for their love. And it's like their love is strong enough, you know, it's like they win. And it feels
feels like angels.
It feels like vindication after everything. I think you don't get that moment unless everything up until that point has been a struggle. And I think the reason that moment is so beautiful is because everything up till that point for them is so hard. So I think it kind of justifies everything because it's so beautiful. It doesn't justify everything. Some things best left undone.
Some things cannot be justified.
I think, you know, there's just like, it felt like, yes, all right, maybe there's just a hint of it being worth it if we got to hear in the end. Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely stunning. Just beautiful. On a slightly less involved, slightly less, you know, defying angels kind of I like the ice skating date. Ice cute. Before the Jonathan nonsense happens. Yeah, the ice skating is cute. The ice skating is adorable. Also, I'm very impressed with Dominic Sherwood being able to skate and Kat McNamara not being able to skate, and therefore that role reversal, not just the characters that suddenly are faced with this role reversal of Jace not being good at stuff and Clary being able to teach him something that he can't do, but the actual actors being able to portray that with it's this many layers. Yeah, it's like a beautiful ice skating babushka. What's next? Biggest missed opportunity.
Oh, how long have you got?
Well, we're 9 minutes over, so
Not long.
or alternatively, as long as you freaking want.
We make our own
We
rules.
make our own rules.
I think just a discussion of mental health,
Yeah,
depression, PTSD,
trauma,
suicide. Like, there is so many conversations you almost nearly started.
I like almost more simply, I'd have said that the biggest missed opportunity was Jace.
Yep.
Like Jace as
As a character.
thing was a
Like,
sort of missed
yeah.
opportunity.
That red herring with Jace's mental health was so frustrating because it was nice outside of the context where you knew it was fake. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, it was nice. Full stop.
Yes. Yeah. But I think, you know, there was some really beautiful groundwork for the mental health conversation that you can sort of fill in your head later. But I think just over and over again, they started something with Jace which should have been brilliant and should have been interesting. And he's an interesting character. Psychologically, he's fascinating.
No, totally.
And they just,
yeah, absolutely. Like, there are so many moments when you nearly talked about it.
Yeah.
And again, you build it up and we were all looking forward to it actually happening.
Yeah.
And then,
but it's like they so rarely used the most interesting aspects of his character, whereas I feel like, you know, for most of the other characters, they used the more jagged edges of them quite a lot. You know, that like they lent into Clary's ambition, for instance. They lent into it and her individualism, and you know that didn't always work out, but at least they sort of identified the kind of unusual spiky edges of her character, and did something with them. You know, the same with Alec, the same with Magnus, the same with Simon. You know, there's like I feel like for all of the characters, they did identify the kind of rough edges of them and do something with them. You know, like whether the something they did was what you wanted or what it should have been is a different question.
or whether it was successful or whether it was, totally.
But at least there was sort of like, that is an interesting, weird angle to this character, we'll lean into it. But it's like they identified all of the weirdnesses of Jace's character and they let Dom and the writers put them on screen, but they never did anything with them. They just resorted him back to stage one every time. He was like forced back into his box every single time. It was just, it's just, I think he as a character is a missed opportunity. He could have been one of the best characters on the show, and instead he's a difficult character because of frustration rather than because of
anything
else.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's sad, but I think that's fair.
And I think Izzy's a missed opportunity in a similar kind of a way, I guess.
Yes.
But I feel like for her, it was almost that her angles were all you got. Like her weirdnesses, her weird edges were all you got. You kind of didn't ever resolve those into a person. She was just all peculiar angles that you couldn't quite wrap your head around.
Well, I think, which is also, again, this is a fandom thing. I feel that Izzy is almost the most diverse fanfic character.
Absolutely.
Because all you got was glimpses and angles, and therefore you can take that wherever you want.
But it's like every episode, somebody would go, Jace, you are a big, square-jawed golden hero type. And the writers or the directors or Dom himself would say, it's like, oh, but I'm also this thing maybe. And they go, that's nice. You're a big, square-jawed golden hero type. Get back in your box.
Back in the box.
Whereas with Isabel, it's like every episode, they all came up and said, maybe she's really ambitious. Maybe she is. This episode, she's going to be really ambitious. It's like, maybe she's really feisty. This episode, she's really feisty. You know, it's like, it was incoherent, but it wasn't.
Let's pull a trade out of a box.
Right.
Yep.
Different frustrations.
Fair enough. Before we do the last question, because we are at question 29, I'm going to slip in an extra question that we didn't add.
Round.
It's a bonus round. What's your favorite Save Shadowhunters moment? What's your favorite campaign moment? Stunt, madness. Dum dum dum. Dum dum dum.
Bearing in mind that I spent most of the whole period desperately wishing it
Your head in the sand.
Yeah.
You kind of missed all of it.
No, I didn't miss all of it. It's like I knew what was all happening. It was just, yeah.
Again, feel free to join in, everyone.
I don't think I have a particular like thing individually. I think I was just that it kept getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
That like it was just like, you know, shit. Wow, that's another, you know, mainstream media outlet writing an article about this, and you know, Christ, that's a lot of people who've signed a thing, and that's a lot of response to get. You know, it's a lot of attention. I think my favorite thing about the movement was the movement. My favorite thing about the movement was like, Jesus Christ, fandom has power.
Yeah.
You know, the power to move and shake and, you know, not, as it turned out, save Shadowhunters, but like...
Well, we tried.
Yeah. And yeah,
did we try.
The Trevor Project fundraiser did so well, indeed. But like, that's sort of, all of that stuff is like, God, the things that we can do if we set our minds to it, you know, the things that we can achieve if we're organized about it is just incredible. Maybe a little bit depressed that we don't do that for
anything else
all the time. It's like, shit, you know.
No, I think that's a fair answer, considering that this is Fandom Friday.
Right.
I think that is a good answer.
I like that we ended up in NYC for it as well. That's nice.
Yes.
I like that we brought it back to NYC.
That was good. I also, I mean, though, contrarily to that, like one of the moments when I kind of went, oh my God, this is big, is when he ended up in printed UK newspaper. Because, you know, it's very easy to get stuff on a website.
Yeah, the fact that the Film Daily kept like writing about it.
Yeah.
Not like...
But even, you know, getting it on like the Telegraph online is quite easy. No, not super easy, but it's entirely possible. But it's the fact that it was in a printed newspaper that kind of blew my mind. I love that the People's Choice Awards had to rewrite the rules to how the people are allowed to vote because of us.
Yeah.
That still kind of blows my mind.
Like,
the fact that People's Choice Award, the entire award that's designed to be the People's Choice, went, you know what? It's no longer the People's Choice. The people suck.
There's a thing about standing in a place where you can feel history being made. You know, it's like I kind of feel similarly about the Save Shadowhunters movement to I do about the Hackney Empire reunion gig for the Libs.
Yep.
So the Libertines, our mutual favourite band, is how we met. And they had a big, like one of the most dramatic breakups in recent rock and roll history, and didn't speak to each other for like 3 years. Nobody was allowed to, you know, there were teams and you couldn't cross-contaminate
bodyguards
and fist fights and all sorts of like really dramatic stuff.
And they each got half of the fandom in the divorce.
Yeah. And they played 3 years after they split. They played a reunion gig, which I was at. And it was the first time that they'd been seen on stage together in 3 years.
Yep.
And I just stood in that room and it's like, good God, this is a moment of rock and roll history.
Yep.
Like they will write about this night when they write about this band in the future. You know what I mean? It's like you're standing in a place where like, here we are at a place where you can't ignore tonight. You can't ignore this when you're talking about it in the future. And the Save Shadowhunters movement felt quite similar. Like it felt like there's not been that many moments in my life when I felt that.
Yeah. That just like very active being part of something
like
that's
here. This is a bullet point on this history.
Yeah.
You know, this bit of history, and obviously fandom history specifically.
Yeah, totally.
It felt like we were doing a thing. And I wasn't sure whether that thing was a good thing or a bad thing, or
whether it was going to accomplish something.
And there were a lot of times when I wished that it would stop, but
it
you
was
couldn't deny.
You cannot deny that it was a thing.
That it was a thing that was definitely happening.
It was a thing that was done, and it was done thoroughly.
Yeah.
Globally.
And brilliantly, exceptionally well organized.
Yes. I only did some of it. I didn't do all of it.
A bit round of applause.
We have completely abandoned the no swearing, haven't we?
Yeah.
Have a stele.
Thank you.
I don't know why now at this 11th hour I decided to bring out the props.
I don't know why you did it.
But I have props.
Did Lychee make this one for you?
Lychee did make this one for me.
It's very nice, Lychee jelly.
Yes, Tiwa Jelly on Twitter. Very, very talented.
Makes steles.
If you have stele needs or other needs.
Yeah. She's very talented in many directions. She sells lots of things on
on a little shop.
The internet shop.
So I guess that is now time for question 30. What do you think made Shadowhunters so great? A dum-dum-dum.
The heart. I think it had its heart so much in the right place about so many things. And it was so, like, stupidly sincere about the things that it felt. And
I think also, like, we were so stupidly sincere about the things that we felt.
And obviously, you know, one of my favourite things about Shadowhunters that it has led me here, you know, that it wouldn't have meant anywhere near as much to me if we hadn't been part of a community who it meant a huge amount to. Like, a huge amount of the stuff that Shadowhunters means to me is, you know, the
fandom
and
the people
and Jilly and Lychee making steles for you, and, you know, the Thick and the Twitter and the conversation, and, you know, that is so much a part for me of what Shadowhunters means to me and what makes Shadowhunters great. Like, that's what makes it great for me.
Yeah. But I do think there are, you know, shows like that where absolutely what makes it is the fandom. You know, there are shows that are fantastic for, you know, multitude of reasons, and I have absolutely no idea whether that's what people love about it, whether the fandom exists, you know, whatever. What happened?
Jilly said, boys cry and girls stab things and mums get a second chance. Yes, it's wonderfully sincere. Yes, all of those things also.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do absolutely love the fact that we have so many male characters that are allowed to show emotion, and it's something that I will be eternally grateful for, to, you know, like the writers, the creators, and the actors. Like the fact that we've got the parabatai bond, that we've got these two male characters that are not in a relationship together and are not, you know, ever going to be in a relationship together, that are literally just there for each other because they love each other and they want to be, and they're allowed to show emotions. And, you know, they're both meant to be butch leading male types, and they get to cry. I think that's a huge thing that Shadowhunters did.
Not just meant to be, they are. I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Is that their heroism, their classic atypical heroism was not compromised by them feeling things and them expressing feelings.
And yeah, I do think that is huge. It's
just like the female characters feeling things was not compromised by them also being heroic.
Well, and the conversation that, you know, you and me have had a lot, like us and anyone who's listened to The Descent is Easy has had a lot, but literally the fact that you're suddenly looking at this cast and you don't quite realize why it confuses you until you work out that it's because Alec Lightwood is the emotional heart of the show and Clary Frey is the proactive, stabby leading person or that drives the plot along, and that's not what you see very often. You know, most female characters on television don't get to be the person who, you know, does stuff and goes all out and creates things and makes mistakes and just stabs stuff because they want to, and most male characters don't get to be the heart of the show.
And I think even like more, because we've talked quite a lot about that kind of dynamic switch in terms of Clary and Alex specifically, but I think it's interesting just in terms of Clary and Jace, that even in terms of their relationship, which is very like straight white cis. You know, they are pretty quintessential drama incest aside. But even in the context of their relationship, Jace is the one who has more emotional hang-ups.
Yep.
Jace is the one who has more issue with their relationship, more struggle with their relationship because of how he feels about things. You know, her issues are relatively straightforwardly to do with the plot implications, you know, things that happen outside externally. Otherwise, she's pretty like straightforwardly, yeah, okay, we're together, awesome. That's that's that done.
Yeah,
but it's,
which is something else I would have actually liked to lean into a bit more. The entire 3B section where she points out that they haven't had sex and that Jay seems to be happy to have sex with literally anyone else on the show, and why not her? And I think that again, like that gender flip there for that issue is something we don't get very often on television.
Yeah, and that's part of their dynamic, and that's not even something that's like discussed about their dynamic. It just is.
Yeah.
Um,
Julie says the fact that she stabs things a lot is part of what Jace likes about her too.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, who wouldn't?
I mean,
Crazy
in
person.
actual real life, like
Crazy
I tend
person.
to look for not stabbing things as sort of primary criteria.
Stab.
Nice.
And that brings us to the end of 30 questions. Unless you want to throw in another ad hoc question.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Does anybody else have a ad hoc question? Does Julie have an ad hoc question?
There's other people, they could talk to us maybe. You're not a Nephilim.
I'm not a Nephilim, no.
They're a little weird in the head, which is true.
Yeah, this was fun. We haven't talked about this show in years.
I think it might almost be years now. Last book club came out 3 days ago. It's nearly years.
Yeah, no, it's nearly years.
Nearly years. Are you just double checking the Twitter?
I was just double checking. Well, not
just
Twitter,
to be sure.
have Twitter anymore.
It's okay. We are safe on the Twitter.
Oh, don't worry, Em. I hope you feel better.
I know. I'm very, very sorry you're feeling rubbish. Though I'm glad that we could be at least a little bit cheerful.
Yeah. We wish you betterment. Much betterment.
That is English. Solid work.
Yeah.
Shall we call it? Well, shall we call it a day then?
Call it a night.
Or night
Thank
even.
you for joining us, everybody. It was lovely talking to you.
And we're going to be back next Friday talking about...
Doing Buffy next week, or is it Merlin next week?
We're doing Buffy next week.
Buffy next week.
So yeah, same time, same place, 9 o'clock if you're British, 4 o'clock if you're in the EST.
Yeah.
The Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. Which is weird, because I assume lots of people haven't finished work yet, but hey, we're not in charge.
No. I'm not in charge of anything. And yes, we'll be answering 30 questions about Buffy.
Yeah.
Hopefully see you all then.
Bye, everybody.
Wow.